You know, in the world of fighter jets, you've got your workhorses, and then you've got your legends. And today, we're diving into an aircraft that is without a doubt a legend. We're talking about the undisputed sword in the sky for the Indian Air Force, the Sukhoi Su-30 MKI.
Yeah, you heard that right. The backbone of the Indian Air Force. And let me tell you, that's not just some fancy nickname. It's a title that's been earned. For decades, this one fighter has been the absolute core of India's air power, projecting strength all across the region. Okay, so to really get a handle on just how important this jet is, you gotta look at the numbers. We are talking about a fleet of around 260 of these things. That makes the Su-30 MKI the most numerous fighter in India's entire arsenal. I mean, that fact alone sends a pretty powerful message, doesn't it? So here's the big question, right? How did a jet that was born in Russia become so uniquely Indian? And what exactly makes it such a dominant force in the sky? That's what we're going to unpack right now. Let's dive in. All right, first things first, let's talk about its role as India's sky guardian. And look, this is way more than just a plane for dogfights. It's a symbol of air dominance. It's what you'd call a strategic asset. It literally makes the entire Air Force more powerful. And this quote from Aviation Wall, man, it just nails it. Transcends being just another fighter. It's about the psychological game. Think about it. Just having a couple of these jets patrolling a border can be enough to make a much larger enemy force think twice. We're talking about projecting power without ever firing a shot. That's a huge deal. So that brings us to where this whole thing started. And this part is absolutely crucial. See, India didn't just go shopping and buy a fighter off the shelf. No way. They commissioned a totally tailor-made version, one that was designed from the ground up for their specific needs. And this whole journey, it was incredibly deliberate. It all kicked off back in '96 with an initial contract for some standard Russian models. But the long-term goal, that was always much bigger. By the year 2000, the deal was done for licensed production in India. And that was the game changer. That was the moment this jet really started on its path to becoming Indian. And this fusion of tech from all over the world, well, that's actually what the I in MKI stands for. Indian. I mean, think of it like building a global all-star team for a fighter jet. You've got Russia bringing the incredible airframe and engines. Then you have Israel providing top-tier electronic warfare and targeting pods. France is in the mix with cockpit displays. And, this is the most important part, India brings its own brains to the operation, the mission computer and other critical systems. Okay, so what are the actual superpowers that make this custom-built beast so formidable? How on earth does it seem to just defy the laws of physics? All right, let's pop the hood and take a look. It really all comes down to one amazing piece of technology, thrust vectoring. Now, in simple terms, it means the nozzles on the back of its super powerful engines can actually move around. So instead of just pushing the plane straight ahead, they can push it up, down, or even sideways. This gives the pilot an absolutely mind-bending amount of control and lets them pull off moves that just shouldn't be possible. And this is why it's such a game changer. See, a normal fighter has to play by the rules of aerodynamics, but the Su-30 MKI, with its thrust vectoring and those little canard wings up front, it basically rips up the rulebook. It can pull off these legendary post-stall maneuvers, like the famous Pugachev's Cobra, that make it a completely unpredictable and absolutely lethal opponent when you get into a dogfight. But being super agile is only half the story, right? This thing is also a total heavyweight when it comes to weapons. We're talking a massive 8,000 kilogram payload slung across 12 hardpoints. But the real knockout punch is its ability to carry the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. I mean, that one weapon gives it a kind of long-range strike power that very, very few fighters on the entire planet can match. So, let's put that in perspective for a second. The jet itself can fly 3,000 kilometers out. Now add the BrahMos missile's range of over 450 kilometers on top of that. What do you get? You get a weapons system that can hit critical targets deep, deep inside enemy territory, all while the jet itself is flying safely out of range of most air defenses. That is a seriously formidable combination of reach and power. Okay, but look, having a powerful jet is one thing. Being able to build it, maintain it, and upgrade it all by yourself, that's a whole different level. And this is where the story of the MKI really becomes the story of India's incredible journey towards self-reliance. And to be clear, this wasn't just about putting together kits that were shipped over from Russia. No, the deal included a huge transfer of technology. India's own Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, or HAL, they started out by assembling the jets, sure, but the whole plan was for them to eventually manufacture the entire airframe, the engines, the whole shebang, right there in India. And then came the really critical step. India's DRDO took it to the next level. Through this initiative called Project Vitrivali, they basically developed the jet's electronic brain. We're talking its core mission computer, the display processors, all the smart stuff. And these aren't just parts. They are what give the Indian Su-30 MKI its own unique digital fingerprint, making it totally different from any other Sukhoi out there.
So, for more than 2 decades, the MKI has been the king of the sky. But you know how it is in military aviation? If you're standing still, you're actually falling behind. And that brings us to the next chapter in this story, the evolution into what's being called the Super Sukhoi.
Which really makes you wonder, right? How can a jet that was designed back in the 90s stay dominant against all these brand new 5th-generation stealth fighters? Well, the answer isn't to build a new jet. It's to give this one a massive, cutting-edge upgrade. And when I say massive, I mean a complete top-to-bottom overhaul. We're talking a brand new electronic warfare suite for self-protection, a modernized glass cockpit, and of course, the ability to carry next-gen Indian weapons. But the single biggest leap forward? Oh, it's all about the new radar.
And just to see how big a jump this is, you just have to look at the old versus the new. The current radar is what's called a PESA. It's powerful for sure, but it's still partly mechanical. The new, homegrown Virupaksha radar is an ASA that's fully electronic. So what does that mean? It means it's way more reliable, it can track a ton more targets at the same time, and here's the key part, it is excellent at finding stealthy aircraft.